And what I was too afraid to admit to myself was what I wanted to do was be on camera. I'm gonna go for it. And 2020 is gonna be my year. I struggle a lot if I don't get enough sunshine.
All right, Leaf. So how is life after high school?
Life after high school was, I guess you could say, defined by a series of changing ideas of what I wanted out of my life. I really struggled to figure out what I wanted to study in
Hmm.
college and what I wanted to do with that. And I'd actually settled on traditional Chinese medicine is what I wanted to do.
All right.
I even knew what grad school I wanted to go to. I had gone to visit them and talk to them about, hey, when I apply to your program, what kind of major, having a degree in what would give me an advantage, coming in. And what they told me was, we don't care what major you go for, we just care what your grades are. So I went,
Okay.
okay, I will study something that I know I will be able to do well in. So I went for a English degree, studied a lot of literature, took a concentration in creative writing. That got me into doing script writing. That introduced me to some friends in college who were working on their own web series. And because I enjoyed doing uh, stage makeup and film makeup and practical effects, that kind of thing, they invited me out to work with them on weekends. And I'd wake up so excited, full of energy for like 12 to 16-hour days. Um,
Wow.
and I started out with them doing makeup, and then I just ended up doing everything, lighting, sound, uh, camera a little bit, not really as much as some of the other things. But I'd be doing their behind the scenes shooting and editing their behind the scenes footage and that kind of thing. And one day I said to them, man, wouldn't it be wonderful? We could just wake up every day and do this. And they
Hmm.
just paused and they looked at me and they said, you mean like a career? And I went, oh,
That's what
right.
it is.
People do this for money.
Yeah, because you guys were doing this for fun.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And that changed the trajectory of what I wanted to do because I realized
Okay.
I found something that genuinely made me happy.
Wow. So you went from the traditional Chinese medicine to the creative field of well, not acting, but like creative script and makeup things. And that's right when how did you stop with your studies to go pursue this
I didn't,
career?
well, I didn't stop my studies. I did finish my
You
degree.
finished it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I knew I wanted to work in film, but I had been doing so many different things with this group that I didn't know what I liked the best. And what I was too afraid to admit to myself was what I wanted to do was be on camera. I was afraid
Acting.
to admit this to myself because in high school, the theater program that I was in, I'd only ever been put in the background. I'd actually been told by my teacher, you're the perfect background actor.
Interesting.
It's a great, very subtle way to say, I'll never cast you in a lead role.
Hmm.
Um, I also knew that actors are some of the most replaceable people on set, and I didn't want to be replaceable. So I thought if I want to work in film, I should be behind the camera. I should make myself as useful as possible. And I told myself that this is what I really wanted, you know?
Hmm.
So I
Absolutely.
spent maybe 7 or 8 years after that, all the way up to the pandemic, working in film and television.
Wow. Okay. So
Always,
how did you manage to be on the lead?
well, in 2019, like at the end of 2019, I realized, no, what I truly want is I want to act. And I told myself, all right, we have a month left until 2020. I am going to take a bit of time to accept this and like embrace this part of myself. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna go for it. And 2020 is gonna be my year.
Timing.
Yeah, and that worked out great. It didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. A lot of things changed for a lot of people, obviously. So how did you bounce back? Like what happened after 2020?
So I ended up getting married in 2020, quite
All right.
unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And moving to Canada. I'd been in
Right.
Georgia before that.
Okay.
So very different film industry, but I told myself, all right, new country, new industry, new start.
New start.
hmm
New life start.
It's
Okay.
Yeah. The film industry up here was very different though. So I had to, I guess, learn from the ground up. And I feel a little lucky that I got here while everything was still kind of in lockdown. So I had a little bit of reprieve, a little time to
Mm-hmm.
ask questions and figure out what I needed to do. I learned I could get an agent up here, even as a background actor. Um, and then it was this year that I got my first lead role
All
because
right.
2023 and 2024 with the film industry strike, it it made getting sustainable film work difficult.
Okay.
And I decided, okay, not going to if I'm not going to be getting major roles, it's time I may as well make my own work, you know?
Okay.
May as well show up with a whole body of work and say, look what I can do. So I just I made a friend. We started a web series. I put that writing degree to use,
Mm-hmm.
and I use that series to either vent my frustrations or um, use the fantastical characters, werewolves, vampires, elves, to poke fun at or make commentary on society.
Right. Okay. Through the web series. Okay.
hmm
Okay.
And then this year I started going, okay, well, we're still kind of slow in the industry. It's time for me to start putting myself out there more directly.
Okay.
I made profiles on specific casting sites. I started submitting myself. Um, I got several auditions for several big roles, and that made me very excited. And then I got my first in-person audition for a student film.
Okay.
And I walked into that room and they said that I was the first person to audition for the role. I don't know how many people auditioned for the role, but when I walked out of that room, I knew that I already had it. I knew that I owned the room.
All right.
It had been years since I had done any auditioning classes or acting classes, but because of the work that I had done myself with my web series, I had been able to see the progression of my own skill growing from episode 1 to episode 17 of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been
So
able
you,
to, not just because I was acting in it, because I was also doing all of the editing. And so I'm able to self-critique and do better next time and grow. And I had a confidence in my own skill that when I walked into that room, I knew that I would do well with the role. And by the
mhm.
time I walked out, I knew I'd owned it.
And so how did you, when you, going back to when you were going to come to Canada in 2020, because that's the interesting move, obviously you've met your partner in the US or you've met him in Canada.
Well, he is Canadian, but we met in the US.
Okay. And so what was your biggest fear before moving out to Canada?
Um, it's gonna sound a little odd, but the weather.
Oh yeah, of course. No, I mean that's a legit fear, obviously. People
Well,
know.
okay, I'm not only am I from a very southern state where,
Hmm.
our idea of winter is more like half-assed summer,
Yeah, of course.
but also I have seasonal affective disorder. and I've had it
All
my
right.
whole life. So I struggle a lot if I don't get enough sunshine. And the Pacific Northwest is not exactly known for its abundance of sun.
That's for
So,
sure.
so coming up to a country where the only people I knew were my husband and my in-laws, where I had no professional connections, I had no social networks. Um, the idea that I might also be without significant amounts of sunshine was scary.
So you said that disability, can we call it disability or
Yeah,
disorder?
no, it's a disability.
Disability, okay. So you needed needing some vitamin D, right?
Essentially,
For your body to process different type of vitamins. Is that what you're lacking? Okay. So what made you do the move? Like, would you say like this is the partner, this is my life partner, and I want to continue my life with him? Is that what motivated you a lot?
it was. I don't think I would have moved to Canada when I did had it not been for him. There was question of whether or not he should move to Atlanta, but financially, it made more sense for us to be in Canada. He has chronic medical issues that
Mm.
need the Canadian healthcare.
Hacking healthcare. There you go.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And to be on disability. And I'm going to be honest with you, American healthcare and American disability are,
of course.
yeah, they're
No good.
terrible. They're
Hmm.
not. No.
Exactly.
And at the time, I did not make enough in Georgia to sustain two people.
Because you were still on working on your web series, is that right? Or did you have something else on the side?
No, I actually wasn't working on the series in Georgia. I didn't start that until I moved to Canada. It's
Okay.
actually I made a significant amount of friends.
You decided to put it all in for that career because obviously if you don't have connections, you don't have nothing, this needs to work. Did you have a plan B at all?
Uh, I had a shadow of an idea of a plan B, but it was a very far-fetched plan B because I I realized a while back that I would do well as a counselor, but that requires several degrees in psychology that I would still need to earn. It's
Hmm.
something I wouldn't mind doing one day, but it's more like a long-term back burner kind of thing. Truly, I came up here and I was just all in on this career path. When the
Absolutely.
strike first started, I had just gotten my permanent residency. So I was just finally able to get work, and then my in entire industry went on strike, which,
Yeah,
as you can imagine, was very frustrating. So I tried to find, a safety job, and I had one for a little while, working part-time at a consignment shop. But it hit a point where work was starting to pick up again, the strike had ended, and that job was doing me more harm than good. So even though it was my main source of income, I took the plunge and I said, I thank you for the work and I will see you later. I also started doing production assistant work again because, you know,
yeah, exactly. And are you still to this day still doing like edits and makeup jobs, or are you just focusing on acting?
I'm focusing on acting.
Okay. So that's the what
I haven't done stage or film makeup in a while.
so how do you see that career um go for you in the next couple years, 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
I think my ideal version of how this career goes is
Hmm.
um, getting a recurring role on a TV series, something like every couple of episodes would be great. You still get paid the living wage, and you're not working every single day.
So you wouldn't want to be the main character of a
I
TV
wouldn't want
series where you were appear at every single episode.
that would be cool. It would very much depend on the series. A detective show or a medical show. I'd rather be a recurring character, long form comedy, or something more like Shadow and Bone or the Lord of the Rings series or things like that. I would love
Hmm.
to be a every episode kind of character.
Yeah, absolutely. And you obviously would learn a lot from that experience. Right now, in because you're doing the career that you love and you have a partner and life is set in a way. What's the biggest challenge that you faced through your early adulthood and what you're facing right now? How have those changed?
The biggest challenge that I would say I faced in my early adulthood was forming my in forming relationships.
In
Not,
forming relationships, yeah.
not in struggling to form them at all, but in recognizing who to put my efforts into,
Hmm.
who was just going to take those efforts for granted, who was going to treat me ill, I suppose.
It's a good way. That's a good way to say it. Absolutely. Well, it's almost I mean, it's almost impossible to know, right? When you go on a relationship, it's almost like you're taking a gamble because you need that period of time where you don't know that second person and you're trying to see if they're actually a good person instead of like maybe are they portraying a being a good person.
Yeah.
So it is very tough, that's for sure. And how did you
Yes.
get better at it?
Oh,
And
yeah.
how? And how?
It's about
What's the
effort.
tactics? It's about
The
efforts.
effort, yes.
Okay.
So if someone if someone is willing to put the kind of effort into me that I'm putting into them, for example, if they reach out to me as I reach out to them, if I'm the one who's always initiating contact, if I'm the one who's always investing my time, my emotions, my energy into them, but they're only doing that if I've already started it, then they're not as interested in me as I am in them. They don't care to put in the work that a relationship involves.
And so now if somebody still, if somebody still cares about you and still want to develop something with you, but they're less of because people show their appreciation or their connection different ways, right? So how do you know if a one person is just not talking to you as much because they just don't that's not how they portray their attention or
That
someone that actually doesn't care.
No, that is a good question because for some people, it's oh, I don't want to bother them. Surely I'm being a bother if I reach out to them, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I had some partners in my early adulthood who were more than happy to show off in front of others what an awesome girlfriend they had, and they were more than happy to be sweet and attentive in front of others and put effort into me in front of others. But when there weren't people to for them to perform in front of, it
Nothing.
was I was getting hung up on the wall.
Oh wow, okay.
And
So okay.
the difference between that and someone who worries that they're going to be upsetting me or bothering me if they reach out to me, I think is when I reach out to someone like that and their attitude is, I'm so glad you're talking to me. And in that exchange, um, even if I'm the one that is initiating it, they are giving.
Engaging. They're
Very,
engaged into the conversation and they're putting their emotions into it and their yeah, their time actually.
when I was younger, I don't think I really. recognize the difference between when this was performative and when this was genuine. Um, and I've picked up a lot on that difference now
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I hadn't had genuine before and now I have.
There's definitely a difference also with like you mentioned, people acting in front of people and what people are doing in front of no one or maybe just you. So yeah, no, that's what being able to recognize genuine passion and genuine emotions is definitely something that you develop with time and with experience as well. And so at the same time, are you glad that you had this bad experience with your ex-partner?
I recently had the thought that I've seen so many people say, I don't know if I want to get involved with this person because uh I'd be afraid of losing them. And
Hmm. Hmm.
one of the things that I've started asking when they say that to me is if someone's not worth losing, were they worth having in the first place? They hurt me really badly, but those experiences, they took me from a level of naivety, a level of absolute trust in everyone. And I won't say they damaged it because I still like to think of myself as someone who walks through the world with, their heart in their hand for everyone to see.
Hmm. Hmm.
But they showed me how to temper that with respect for myself.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you have like some layers of protection before they can attain your heart if we keeping the same image here.
I
It's
think it is important to be an open person and be a person who is willing and able to give your heart out to friends, to family, to romantic partners. But that has to come with a level of self-respect and knowing what I deserve and knowing what I will allow.
but only you know that for in the beginning of the relationship, right? But it's important to set the expectations right from
Mhm.
the get-go and tell them what kind of
Mhm.
yeah, just being respectful. So how do you set those expectations? Do you have a way of showing those, or do you just choose people that are just respectful in general?
I mean, why not both?
Hmm. Absolutely. Good.
I will say after I cut those people out of my life, um, and not just romantic partners, there were some friends as well who were more than happy to take advantage of oh, she'll do anything to help me, but
Hmm.
doesn't care if I don't help her because she's just that giving. Those kinds of friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some people that really
With friends
confuse.
who needs enemies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially I think there's a lot of people that confuse nice people with naive people, right? Because obviously you're a very nice person. I am also a very nice person. I probably give too much, you know, but the second, the 0.5 second of you disrespecting or not respecting my time or taking advantage of me, then there will not be a second chance. Like it will be done and you'll know it will be done because yeah, people can't take advantage of you and that's just like you said, self-respect and knowing where your limit is very important. But I think
I think
you
I
learn that.
think another I'll finish answering your original
Yeah,
question.
yeah, please.
What you said actually made me think of this, but I think another way of recognizing those friends, those partners that are going to respect those boundaries is when they ask, you know, are you okay with like I'm meeting up with a friend next week and my friend asked, "Hey, I know this is a time of year where it's a lot harder for you to be social. I'm glad that you're meeting up with me. How long do you feel like and what time do you think, what time of day is good for you?" And this was
Absolutely.
sweet. Someone remembering that I have needs, I have limitations. I often forget I have
Hmm.
limitations.
Hmm. Well, that's a good friend that you have. Probably you've had this friend for quite a long time, not even.
This is a new friend.
But when you mentioned that to her or to him, sorry, you said her, um, they remembered and they made sure that they put
Yeah.
that
And that's kind of what I
restriction
mean
first.
with
Yeah.
I've been the one reaching out to this friend, but they've been the one reminding me it's okay if you have limitations.
Hmm.
So that's what I mean about someone putting in effort to you and respecting you, even if
You're
you're
the one.
reaching out to them all the time.
100%.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a great friend to keep around
Yeah. So
if connection is good.
after those partners and friends were out of my life, I had my other friends and new partners basically have to help me figure out from scratch what my boundaries were. I was so used to them being disrespected.
Hmm.
And having them do that made me realize that sometimes life and social expectations grind us so deeply into the dirt with what we are supposed to give and what we are supposed to do and what we should expect others to expect of us that maybe the best mirror you have is the people around you.
Okay.
The uh,
So,
the friends and the family who are willing to sit with you and help you figure out, okay, these are your boundaries. Are you okay with this? How do you feel about this? Um, and sometimes it's not a literal sitting down conversation, but things like um, me mentioning to a boyfriend that I really like takoyaki, which is a form of Japanese omelet. And he, on his own, was at a thrift store, saw a takoyaki pan, and bought it for me because he was thinking about me.
mhm.
And it was not out of his way to do so. And it just hit me that, wow, I don't think I've had evidence before that a romantic partner has thought about me when I wasn't there.
Yeah, it seems very natural. I mean, to me at least,
Mm.
to think about your partner even when they're not around. But wow, okay, yeah, yeah. So if you felt like that was an exceptional thought, yeah, that tells me a bit about your past experience.
You see what
Wow.
I mean?
Yeah.
Have the help from other people
Hmm.
to help you realize, wait a second, it should be very normal for this to happen.
Hmm.
Maybe
Yes.
this is what they mean by I should have self-respect and boundaries.
Hmm. Well, yeah, that's the definition, very simple definition of caring for somebody else, really.
Mm.
Okay. So relationship wise, you were able to grow a lot from those relationships. Hurt you or not hurt you, obviously. The experiences made who you are today. And so if we go back to the question of your challenges in adulthood right now, apart from relationships, what other challenges do you face?
Um, Honestly, our biggest challenges now are financial. It,
Mm, what kind of challenges?
um, I suppose twofold. I, being so new in Canada, am still working on building up credit quickly.
Yeah. What are you doing right now to remedy to this credit thing?
Credit cards that I keep low balances on.
Hmm.
One for groceries, one for gas and travel, um, one for utilities, so that multiple lines of credit make me look more responsible, but I can keep them all low enough individually that it looks like I'm using that credit wisely.
Okay. So when you say low balance, do you say low balance from zero? Or do you say low balance from your credit limit?
Low balance from credit limit.
So credit utilization percentage is is a good thing. And you obviously you pay them off every single month in full, correct?
I mean, the sundry expenses one gets paid weekly because otherwise it would get like the grocery one gets paid a little
Okay.
bit once a month, but yeah.
That's good. Okay. Well, you were having a good technique for now. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And apart from building credit?
Um, well, you remember I said that my industry had been on strike for a while. It's
Yes.
been very slow getting back up, so it's mostly a struggle to find enough work in a month. I'm still building up my days to get union status.
Gotcha.
I end up being like the last person on the call list.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Mhm.
Until you get to the union status. Okay. And so what kind of solutions have you been looking into so far to remedy to this?
Gig work outside that's of the film industry directly that still utilizes my skills, such as this month I am a Christmas performer.
That's good. In a TV thing or just in a
Like a live performance kind of thing.
oh live performance. Okay, yeah, yeah. So like a Christmas parade or that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff.
Is that what you mean? Gotcha. Okay. But that's also unpredictable, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is, and that's kind of how the film industry is a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is part of why my family really hoped that we would stay in Atlanta because I had a much more solid foundation there. I had in my career. I'd been working in the production office on several television shows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had plenty of contacts, and I'm pretty much having to start my career from square one, having moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
what I've been doing, I've been attending things like film festivals. I've been being proactive about the other things I need to become union besides just work days, such as getting the certifications that I need,
Mm-hmm.
just getting everything ready as possible and meeting people, getting on people's lists.
Yeah, to get yourself out there.
Exactly.
Okay. Um, are you guys renting right now or do you have a house?
We are renting. We're hoping, so I own a townhouse down in Atlanta that I'm currently renting to a friend. And I've talked to her and her husband about selling it to her. Um, and we kind of have a timeline for when we'll be ready to make that sale,
Sell?
so that we
Yeah,
can, either put a down payment on a house or buy a townhouse up here.
definitely. Definitely. And when do you think that's gonna happen? Like, is it set in stone or do you have you?
Yeah, no, it's the plan is 2026.
Oh wow, so a long time in a long time.
Well, yeah, a bit because I want I want to set up the people that I care about to have the best advantages in life that they can without putting myself at too much of a disadvantage.
Exactly.
So,
Absolutely.
so we talked about what was the most reasonable financial goal for them to be able to put a down payment on the house. And you're going to need roughly 10%
Yeah.
of the cost of the house. So
Yeah.
we projected about a $300,000 townhouse in by 2026, needing a $30,000 down payment, which meant both she and her husband would have to put away $5,000 a year for over 3 years.
Okay. Okay. While they're paying your rent,
Yes,
of course. But
but
then if they want to back out from this deal, they can back out at any point in time, correct? Okay.
because they are, as you said, they are still, as they are saving up, they are still paying the rent.
Of course, I hope so.
Yeah. So
I
it's
hope so.
if they decide no, we can't buy it, no skin off my nose. I just put it on the market.
Okay, but if brainstorming here, if you're putting it on the market today,
Hmm.
right, you'd be able to get also 300,000?
No.
How
It
much?
uh current value on the house based on the townhouses around it is roughly 230 to 250.
So how did you predict it's worth 300 in 2 years?
Uh, Based on what it had been worth in the two previous years and like that growth
The
projection.
growth.
But also, we were more aiming for them to have a $30,000 deposit as sort of a just in case overshoot,
Hmm.
rather than we firmly expect this to be 300,000.
So yeah, obviously you're kind of making them a favor because they have, or you probably, is it cheaper rent than if you would to rent it to somebody else? Okay, okay. Because realistically, in 2 years, you don't know what happens,
True.
right? That's risk. You don't know in terms of um, your house being worth more or less or same.
Yeah.
Don't know about them backing out from the deal, and then you would have to find somebody else to buy it, aka you have to spend on realtor fees and et cetera, et cetera, and also interest rates and a conversion rate,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So telling you right now, today, obviously, Canadian dollars is pretty low compared to the US, right? So, if obviously not knowing what's going to happen in 2 years, probably not a drastic change, but if you were to sell it right now, you'd have a very good conversion rate if you were to convert to Canadian, right?
Mhm.
Would that also ease some stress at the moment if you were to do that right now?
Some of it, possibly. I think it depended on what kind of house or townhouse, what kind of mortgage we were looking at. Because if we
Hmm.
were looking at a mortgage that was equal to or more than our current rent, that would just put strain on us at the moment.
How much is rent?
Rent is, I want to say, roughly 1750.
Oh, for
Trying.
both of you?
Oh, no, no, no. For the two of us together.
The two of us together. Okay. So both of you together is 1750 per month.
Yes.
Okay. And you live in Vancouver. No, where do you live?
I live in Ladner, so I'm south of
Yeah,
Vancouver.
south of Vancouver. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there will be any mortgage for this much, especially,
No.
yeah. Well, especially you guys are not making stable income at the same time, so it'd probably be hard to get you approved in
Exactly.
general. Although I would say 250,000 USD in Canadian would probably could get you a place in cash in the
Exactly.
Lower Mainland, correct?
And that is kind of the plan, or at least that is kind of the hope.
Or in 2 years.
Yes.
Okay. Because if you would if you don't have rent today, then the stress would be way lower and you would be able to focus on your career a lot, right? And all the money that you make, apart from obviously utilities and bills, will go to savings, correct?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Okay. The question now is, Leaf, if you were to sell that house today,
Mhm.
how bad of a position would your friends be in?
Uh, Pretty decently bad one.
A decently bad one? Okay.
Mhm.
Even if you give them a lot of um, notice time?
It depends on how much notice uh time they had. You said if I sold it today.
Yes, true. No, true, true, true. No, but I mean, like, yeah, I was more thinking about the next 6 months because
Okay.
obviously not today, obviously, because you don't want to kick them out. But yeah, I know in the next 6 months at
So if
least.
I were to sell in 2025 instead of 2026.
Basically.
Hmm. It is actually something that she and I have talked about when I check in with them. I actually recently just officiated their wedding, so I was able to sit down and talk with them about, okay, guys, where are you with this? Because, you know, between life throwing you curveballs, his oldest daughter just had a baby, um, expenses it gets hard to save $5,000,
hmm
you know?
hmm
But
hmm
father pulls me aside and goes, look, I really want to help set them up. So maybe when it comes time, I can also contribute to this. And it's,
Because where they live in the city they live in, would they be hard to find another place at the same rent?
yes. Oh, yes. Especially they have his son lives with them, their two dogs. Uh,
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Okay. Well, obviously you're it'd be more expensive because you're making the sacrifice in a way to give them a cheaper rent.
the original idea had been that I would be in Canada long enough to become a dual citizen, and then we'd probably come back to Atlanta.
Mm,
And so them being in the house was me not having to sell the house and them maintaining the house for me while I'm doing that.
hmm.
Hence, lower rent. It's
But now plans have changed.
yeah, plans have changed now, and that's
Yeah.
when I realized that I said, okay, guys, instead of moving back, I think I want to sell it after all.
I mean, obviously, I think the answer to all those questions is probably now comes down to the type of relationship that you have with this person.
Mm.
And if you feel good about it and that you think that they are grateful altogether, um, and that yeah, this relationship will maintain and obviously
Oh, certainly.
you guys will help each other out in the future and maybe forever at that point because that's quite a huge favor that you're doing, right? Um, but yeah, just asking you those questions, make sure you thought about all of those. Um,
Oh, it's
now,
thought about many
yeah.
times.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, because we talk about financial things and relationship thing, but also like mental capacity and mental stress is another thing that, if there's things that you can get rid of that you have control on, probably good to
Yeah.
make it happen, right?
I'll be seeing them again in April, because I'll be going back down to Georgia in April for my wedding.
Hmm.
I have a wedding in 2020, so we're having it now.
You're
Uh,
right. Yeah, makes sense.
uh, and I will probably talk with her again.
And see what happens.
Yeah, because
Okay.
at that point, if they're only a year out from me needing, and I've told her, whether you have the deposit or not in 2026, it has to go on the market. So they know that there's an out time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Um,
And you said 2026, but did you say a month?
I did not say a month. I
Mm,
think
probably
I
set
think
that up as well.
yeah, it'd be a once I got my taxes done up here and like once I got my taxes taken care of because that would be just too many stressors at once
Yeah, definitely.
trying to juggle.
Yeah. Do you do your taxes yourself or do you have an accountant?
Because I have to do two countries worth of taxes, I take it
And
to
exactly. That too. See, you have yeah. So selling it if you don't earn any income in the US, you wouldn't have to report any income in the US depending if you're did you keep your yeah, obviously you kept your um citizenship over there. And okay. So now so you said the financial stress. Is it the cash flow that's not sustaining your lifestyle at the moment, or is just the fact that your income is just so up and down that gets you stressed?
It is the fact that the income is so up and down.
Hmm.
Try very hard to maintain like a lifestyle that is within our means.
Yeah,
Um, Sometimes that is a little harder than others because a lot of his income is based on him going to events and playing music.
she's also sometimes there's a lot of events and sometimes there's not a lot of events.
I know these are annual
Oh,
things,
okay, it's set up. Okay.
but the cost of getting there is on us.
Mm. And so have you thought about getting a part-time job to
Yeah,
have more
yes, I have.
income?
Um, the issue there is I am apparently overqualified for everything that would be part-time enough to work on until the industry picks up a bit more. Um,
Yeah, because you're talking about like you're still talking about film industry right here, right?
yeah, I am.
Okay.
So I have plenty of office experience.
Hmm.
Um, the problem is that no one wants to hire someone who may be gone in 6 months.
That's true. That's true. Is that what you tell them during the interview?
I don't even get to the interview stage.
Okay. So did you say that somewhere in your resume or in your cover letter?
No.
Okay. Obviously, they probably get the feel of it.
One of the things that my work BC recruiter said to me was, "You look like a flight risk because you are young and pretty."
Someone said that from work BC.
And
Did you jiggle a bit when they said that?
I did.
Yeah, I would have jiggled too. Okay, interesting.
But the point that he made was, I am well educated, I'm young, I'm pretty. I look like the kind of person that as soon as a better paying, more in line with my abilities job comes along, I'll just up and take it. And my first thought,
Yeah.
who wouldn't?
The thing is also from the the employment history that you have, obviously that you put on your resume. Since you've probably gone from multiple jobs and multiple careers at that point. Um, yeah, that's obviously it's like a behavior that people can see from a resume, right?
And that's something that I try to explain in a cover letter that, yes, it looks like I've jumped from job to job to job. What you need to understand is these are all the same job. It's
Yep.
just
Yep.
happens over and over because that's the nature of the industry that I worked in.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a car?
I do.
Yeah. Have you thought about food delivery things?
I did. I did try to do that for a while. I was spending more on gas than I was making.
Mm,
Part
okay, because your car doesn't probably isn't good on gas.
It's part of the problem of living in Ladner.
Okay, why?
Well, most of the places that people want to order skip the dishes or Uber Eats or something, they are not in Ladner. They are in Richmond, they're in Vancouver, downtown, places where uh, in order to get the food to them, I have to find a place to park, and so I have to pay for parking as well, unless I want to risk
To
parking in
get
a place I'm not supposed to.
yeah, really interesting. Well,
If I
and Ladner is quite of a big city, right?
No, Ladner is a small village.
Oh, interesting. Ah, that's probably where your main challenge is.
It is. It is a bit. But also at this particular point in time, um, I don't know that we could really afford to live any closer to the city.
Mm. Do your rents would jump too much, you think?
I think it would.
But then if the more opportunities are there, would
No,
that make up the difference?
no, something that has given me a bit of hope recently, two things. One is learning that BC recently redid their tax incentives for the film industry to try and bring more work up in 2025.
Okay.
Um, I hear from my friends that are higher up in production that a lot of things are planning to get started in 2025. Like they're moving up to BC, so that means there's a lot more work in the pipeline. But rather than count my chickens before they hatch, I'm just excited to hear it. Um,
Okay, I see.
the other thing is that there's several production studios that have opened up in Langley, and Langley, being further out from Vancouver, is somewhat less expensive to live. So if we were to decide, all right, it's in our best financial interest to move, moving out to Langley would not necessarily negate the cost of rent by adding more to the cost of gas and transit.
Well, at least you know. You know where I think you know where your challenges are, and I think therefore you know where your solutions are.
I do my best.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're aware enough to turn your situation around. Obviously, comes things comes at a certain time. Christmas is coming as well, so want to take that time. But coming January, it's good to take into consideration. Yeah, probably your where you live because opportunities, you need to be near them, especially if you need to go to the workplace. Yeah, and that place with your friend, also recommend putting a month on the calendar in 2026 because if you tell them 2026, probably guarantee that they will make sure they go all the way to December 31st, 2026, right?
Yeah, no, I was thinking something like March or April.
hmm hmm Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And at that time, probably you would have make enough income. That's one thing in banking. Do you, it's a quick question here. Do you report your income as a employment income or as a self-employed?
I generally report it as a contractor.
So self-employed.
Yeah, so self-employed.
Okay. Okay. So the eyes of the bank, self-employed people. Okay. The bank will look at your last 2 years income.
I know.
Okay. So if this year is gonna be low because of the jobs that were slow, you need to make sure that 2024 you make good income. So if you want to get a mortgage in 2026, you have the best chances, right?
Yeah,
That's something you need to plan in advance going in 2025.
I have been doing as best as I can on that this year
hmm
into account my dreams and limitations in the same breath.
Definitely, definitely, you need to take all in consideration. Yeah, and yeah, because if you sell that place, okay, if you sell that place in the U.S. Um, you also at that time probably sit down with some sort of financial advisor, okay, and calculate if it'd be a good idea to pay your house in cash or still get a mortgage at that time, depending on the rates,
Right.
because sometimes it's really good to get a mortgage and put the rest of the funds into investments,
Hmm.
especially in Canada with what we're seeing things going, you'd
Yeah.
probably be better off investing your money than putting everything into one house, right?
Hmm.
So that's my recommendation to you. Okay, Leaf, what's the where do you see yourself now in 5 to 10 years? What's the goals that you want to accomplish? Where do you see yourself with your partner in Canada, in the US? What's your dream life in 5 years, 10 years?
I'm a house owner again. I'm not
Okay.
renting. It's a
hmm
lovely apartment, but I would like to be a homeowner again.
Definitely.
I am working regularly in the film industry, preferably
hmm
on, but in the production office is okay too.
Absolutely.
Um, knowing what those production days are like, I'm not even going to joke around and say I have tons of time for my friends.
hmm
Yeah. In 5 years, I am a homeowner again. Love my
hmm
apartment, but I'd like to be a homeowner again. I'm working regularly on film production, whether on screen or maybe in the production office. Um, in between those jobs, my husband and I travel.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good idea. Finally, if yeah, your efforts can pay off and can let you discover the world and stuff. Any kids? Do you want any kids with a partner and stuff? No kids. Yeah,
No,
that's good too. Animals?
I do not. Uh, I have a snake.
Oh, you have a snake. Okay, interesting. Do you want more
And
snakes?
she's great. No, no, no.
Okay, just one.
She's my little golden baby.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So she will stay with one only child. Okay, well, thank you for being with me today, Leaf.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for staying until the end. Please consider subscribing. There is many more episodes coming in the next month, and I don't want you to miss them.